In an earlier video, I talked about a safety strap for a cell phone to protect it when you have it in one of these gooseneck mounts that you would use to be able to observe your apps while you're fishing. And the solution I proposed was using one of these pop sockets and sticking it on the back of a cell phone case, attaching a safety strap to it, and that would give you the option to protect this from falling out. Well, it wasn't but minutes after I put that video up that 4 guys, hear their names, said, "Hey, we've used these pop sockets and the adhesive that comes with them is not robust, and in fact it will come off once it gets hot." David Hogg said, "Hey, there's even a better idea than using the pop sockets, and that's what we're going to talk about today." And I've got 2 attachment options that you'll find interesting. Both will protect your cell phone in a much more robust fashion than these pop sockets. Stay tuned. And what David suggested is use your cell phone case, because these are really inexpensive. I mean, this one only costs $15, and now drill a hole in the right place through it and attach your safety strap to that. And there are some issues about where you would want to drill that hole. A lot of cell phone cases come with holes already in the top for various attachments, and if you're not interested in using those on the water, well, that's a logical place to run a cord. But you have to watch what you're using for the cord. I recommend using zip ties instead of the weed whacker cord, because the zip tie is much skinnier, and that will deform the case a lot less and allow the cell phone to remain firmly in the case. Now, along those lines, I recommend not putting that hole or even using the existing holes along the short end, because the cell phone case is deformed more over that length. Instead, if you're going to do that, put it on the long end, and I'll show you what that means for the mount. So I've got it in the mount. You can see that the buttons end up making this have to stick out this far, because if this clamp puts pressure on the buttons, it's going to activate them. And so I think I'll pick this one right here that's in the middle, because it should be a good one to run the zip tie through. If you decide to put the zip tie through the long part of the case and you're using this type of mount, you're basically locking the phone into the gooseneck. It's not going to come out, it's not going to fall. And let me show you what I mean. The zip tie goes through the hole we had previously identified. Remember, we're moving this forward so none of the buttons are impacted by the zip tie. Now we take our clip. I'm using a spring clip here, but you could also use a carabiner, and now it's pretty obvious what's going on. This phone is not going to come out even if the gooseneck is totally open. Now, there's an advantage and a disadvantage of that. The advantage is obviously there's no way this is going to fall in the water. The disadvantage is you can't get it out of the mount without undoing the clip, which means that you can't pull it up in front of your face to look at it, because sometimes the glare of the sun is such that you need to get it under the shade of your hat to see the screen. Option 2 is a little more elegant. I'm going to use one of these grommets with a grommet plier, and I'm going to go ahead and put the grommet here, and then I can run the zip tie through the grommet and then out through this back. And the only thing that's showing down there at the bottom is the Motorola logo, and I don't really care about that. Let's go ahead and show the difference in what the case looks like with this thing in here. Deformed, could come loose, nice and flat, good to go. So here's option 2. I made a new little safety cord out of skinnier weed whacker. I've got a spring clip on one end and a cheap carabiner on the other, and you can see that I've got plenty of stretch in here. All I'll do is I'll attach through a hole right here on this gooseneck, run this around, again paying attention to where the buttons are, and now I've got the safety strap here, and I can take it out and look at it over here where I'm sitting. I think this is the better approach because it is much more flexible. So I want to thank David for the great idea of using the case as the basis for the holder. And I'm a fan of going through the back instead of the side. If you've got another idea for a way to protect your cell phone while on a kayak, well, I'm all ears. I really want to hear about it. Thanks.